Feeling utterly embarrassed, Adebisi ran away from the crowd and hid behind some bushes, trembling and hoping no one would find her. Adebisi, the rejected princess. There was a small village surrounded by green hills and farms. Princess Adebisi lived in this little village. Her father was King Kula, who ruled over the village. Adebisi was the king's oldest daughter. She was known as a kind and gentle princess who treated the village as well. But Adebisi had a difficult issue. She struggled with her whole life. She had very strong body odor that smelled quite bad. Even when Adebisi was a young girl, she smelled much worse than the other children. The bad smell got worse as Adebisi grew up. It was a pungent, unpleasant smell that trailed behind her wherever she walked. As Princess Adebisi grew into a young woman, the people in the village started treating her differently. They tried to stay away from Adebisi because of her very bad smell. Behind her back, some villagers made unkind jokes and comments about how stinky the princess was. Some mothers with children would quickly pull their little ones inside their houses when they saw Adebisi walking down the dusty village road. The young girls, who used to be Adebisi's friends, would turn and go the opposite direction to avoid talking with her. This made Adebisi very sad. There were many young men in the village and neighboring kingdoms who wished to court Adebisi because she was pretty and the king's daughter. However, as soon as they got within 6 feet of her, they were driven away by her odor. They decided not to pursue her despite Adebisi's beauty and royal title. This left the princess very lonely. She stopped leaving the palace most days. Princess Adebisi would simply stay in her bedroom and gaze out her window, dreaming of true love and a man who could accept her smelly situation. She imagined a husband who would not care about her strong body odor, but would love her for her kind heart. One day, a group of suitors arrived at the palace, each hoping to impress the princess. They brought gifts and performed feats of strength and skill. Adon watched from a distance, her heart heavy with anticipation. She hoped that perhaps one of them would see beyond her condition and accept her for who she was. But as each suitor approached her, she saw the same look of disappointment in their eyes. They quickly made excuses and left, leaving Adon feeling more alone than ever. But it seemed impossible, and Adebisi cried many tears over feeling so alone. It was a hot, vibrant summer day in the village. Princess Adebisi was up in her castle bedroom, fanning herself. She left her shutters open, hoping to catch a breeze. Then Adebisi heard lively sounds floating up from the village square, joyous drum beating and people laughing. She leaned out her window and saw people dancing around a bonfire, celebrating the summer feast day. Adebisi felt a stirring of excitement. She thought maybe she could sneak out of the palace and observe the festivities without being noticed. People seemed so happy and distracted by the dancing. So, Princess Adebisi quietly left the palace and tiptoed to the edge of the village square. For a few moments, no one realized she had joined them. Adebisi stood in the shadows, watching wistfully as girls her age spun fast in their colorful skirts. But soon a breeze blew, carrying Adebisi's unfortunate odor through the crowd. People wrinkled their noses, glancing around to find the source of the stench. Then the drum beats and dancing altered as all eyes turned toward the lonely princess. Mouths fell open in shock before twisting into unpleasant sneers. People doubled over gagging and whispered behind their hands while pointing at Adebisi. The carefree joy of moments before had vanished. Adebisi's eyes filled with humiliated tears. Adebisi felt utterly embarrassed and ashamed after being ridiculed while dancing at a village gathering. With tears flooding her eyes, she ran away from the crowd and took cover behind some bushes to hide. She crouched down, trembling behind a tree, hoping no one would find her. But then she heard the distant, steady beat of a drum growing louder and getting closer. Fearfully, she peered through the leaves to see who was approaching. To her surprise, it was a smiling young man from a neighboring village, cheerfully playing a hand drum as he walked directly toward her hiding spot. When he reached her, he stopped playing and kindly asked, "Why did you stop dancing back there? You looked so joyful and free while you were dancing." Adebisi was stunned that this stranger had followed her all the way here, especially since he was able to detect her unusual scent. She replied incredulously, You can smell me, and yet you still came looking for me here. Everyone back in my village teases me and laughs at my dancing." The young man responded gently, "Don't worry about them. I think you're a wonderful dancer. Please ignore their unkind words and keep dancing with happiness and freedom." Adebisi was surprised by the young man's kind words. She realized he truly didn't care about her differences. Comforted, she decided she would ignore the cruel taunts of her neighbors and dance freely, just as she wished. The young man started playing a cheerful, upbeat rhythm on his hand drum. Adebisi was unsure at first, but after a moment she began swaying lightly in time with the music. The stranger's smile grew even wider as he watched her start to move. He picked up the pace of his drumming, playing faster while keeping his eyes fixed warmly on Adebisi's. Adebisi could feel that he was truly seeing her, not just her outward appearance, but her heart and soul. For the first time she could remember, she felt completely accepted just as she was. This realization freed her spirit. She let go of her self-consciousness and began dancing fluidly, her body unfurling into graceful motions that left her feeling breathless and elated. As the drumming accelerated, Adebisi's feet flew faster. She leapt and spun with ease, weaving swift, elaborate steps that came to her instinctively. The rhythm seemed to flow through her, filling her with joy and vitality. With the stranger's admiring gaze holding hers, she felt liberated to fully express her love of dance. When Princess Adebisi finally stopped dancing, she and the smiling stranger held each other's gaze for a moment. Adebisi felt exhilarated from the joyful dancing and uplifted by the first time she had felt truly seen and accepted by someone. The two of them then suddenly started laughing together, connecting in their shared happiness. After they caught their breath, the young man told Adebisi his name is Odeyemi. He lives in the village nearby and plays drums in the squares for events and celebrations. Odeyemi asked Princess Adebisi if she would meet him in this same spot in the bushes again tomorrow. He wanted to talk more and maybe play his drums for her to dance some more. His warm smile and enthusiasm made it clear he had greatly enjoyed their time together. Princess Adebisi said yes, she would definitely meet Odeyemi here again tomorrow. Her heart felt fuller and lighter than it had in years. All her life she had been shunned and lonely due to her odor issues. But this stranger had accepted her and even delighted in her dancing. Adebisi hurried home, her head spinning, still giddy from the exhilaration of truly being seen. She was overjoyed at having met someone who wanted to meet again. For the first time ever, she had made a real friend and her heart swelled with optimism and excitement about their next meeting behind the bushes. In the coming weeks, Princess Adebisi's meetings with Odeyemi were the highlight of her days. Love journey began. Watch out for part 2.